This game is getting very monotonous. I mean, it's good, but it's not great. It's just...
Yeah, I'm done with this game. I wish I can play the perfect game.
I am the Game Genie.
No freaking way. A real Game Genie?
I can make all your gaming desires come true. But first, you must do one task that I desire.
Yeah, Genie. Whatever you want. What is it?
You must seek out and play the greatest game ever made.
But Genie, I've spent the last, 2 decades doing exactly that, and I still have no idea what the greatest game is.
This task is far from ordinary, even further from simple. You will face perilous obstacles, meet new friends, overcome impossible odds, play shitty games.
But Genie, I don't want to play shitty games.
Silence, mortal! You will complete your task. You will earn your power, and you will become the savior of the Bit World.
Bit World?
Your quest begins now. May these tools of noob help you along your journey, but use them sparingly, for their power can turn even the greatest of gamers into lamers. Oh, yeah, that sounded better in the controller. Anyways. Go forth on your journey, nerd. Find the game, master the game, become the legend that you have been destined to be.
Whatever, scary genie dude, I'll become the master and all that other old world crap.
Nah. What a douche.
Son of a...
Yo, video game dudes, talk to me! This is Game Genie, Rokaloo, the awesome video game enhancer for your Nintendo Entertainment System.
The Game Genie is a series of cartridges that allow the user to input codes that manipulate parts of the game. Originally designed by Codemasters, the same company who made unlicensed games like B-52, Big Nose the Caveman, and The Fantastic Adventures of Dizzy. Imagine doing that today for, Xbox One, producing games without the permission of Microsoft, then taking the profits to make a device that allows you to cheat with all the other licensed games. Developers had some zesty testes back in the day.
Now available for your Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
You attach the Game Genie to a game, then insert the combination into a console. When you power on the console, you'll be taken to a screen with a bunch of letters and numbers. By inputting the correct combination of letters and numbers, you can play the game with abilities that are not possible without the Game Genie. You can try and guess the codes if you're feeling lucky, but most of the time you'll just end up glitching out your game. So I have a Game Genie, but I have no idea what the codes are for my game. What do I do? Never fear, Genie Padawan. I will show you the ways of the code. Fortunately, you new gen gamers have the internet, which tends to be the best and cheapest source for these codes. There are multiple sites that list old codes, while some sites even give new codes that people who understand the schematics of the programming have developed. I like to write these codes on a sticky note and then tape them to the sleeve for future reference. For us old farts who didn't have the internet back in the 90s, we were forced to buy books that gave us the codes. There was a standard issue that came with every new Game Genie, but if you bought a used Genie, you didn't always get a code book, so you had to rely on your friends, Nintendo Power, and other publications for game secrets. I know, the world without the internet, the Stone Age of technology. How did we ever survive? Some codes allowed you to start on a specific level. Others allowed you to start with whatever weapon you like. Some codes even made the game harder for an added difficulty. Yeah, like Solstice needs to be any harder. There were 3 codes that I deem the God codes: infinite lives, infinite energy, and infinite time. If those codes existed, the game was no longer a challenge. Not all games had these codes, and sometimes the games you feel should have these codes don't, leaving you the only option of mastering that game. Ninja Gaiden was always the game I felt needed a God code, but of course, just like the game itself, there is no Game Genie mercy. Each system had their own Game Genie, but for some reason they were all very different. The NES version allowed for 3 codes of only letters, no numbers. Sometimes codes would take 2 or even all 3 slots, so you had to ration the codes very carefully. It made up for that with very limited volume of error and glitches. The Super Nintendo version allowed for 5 codes with the mix of numbers and letters. It also had this switch on the front that allowed you to turn the codes on and off at will. I never really found a valid reason to turn them off, but I'm sure someone out there has their reasons. Unfortunately, the Super Nintendo version has a significantly higher percentage of error and glitching, especially with codes that require multiple lines of code. Not enough to deter you from using it, but be prepared to reset the console at times. The Sega version was exactly the same as the Super Nintendo version, but with less errors, so I guess that's a mini win for you Sega fanboys. Go ahead, enjoy your moment. Your system has a better functioning cheating accessory. Congratulations.
The oddball in this series definitely has to be the Game Boy Game Genie. To my knowledge, it's the only one that has this little compartment here that you keep the book in. The only con to it is you look like an asshole when you're sitting here flipping through this little book, straining your eyes to read the small little fine print. It's just annoying.
Like the NES version, you are allowed 3 codes, and most games only have about 2 to 5 codes, so I usually don't have to decide which ones to use.
So let's try the Game Genie on a classic game we all know and love, Super Mario 3. Okay, so let's check out the Game Genie, put in some codes, see what happens. I got the code book, got the Genie, let's do this.
There are so many codes for this game, including the God code Infinite Lives, so I'll start with this one. But I want to show you some of the craziness that is the Game Genie. So the second code I am entering is called Skywalker. It allows you to do an infinite number of jumps in a row, essentially allowing you to fly. The third code allows me to start on World 6, because why not?
Okay, so we got our code set, hit the start button, let's play some Mario 3. As you can see, the first code worked. We're starting on level 6. So let's test Skywalker. And there you have it, Skywalker. Alright, so the last and final code, Infinite Lives. I have 4 lives. Fall in the pit. And still have 4 lives. Gotta love the Game Genie. The Game Genie transforms your game into a whole new experience. Some players will let their ethics get in the way, but I say screw ethics. I mean, I try to play the games first, you know, get the feeling that they intended, but after that, pop one of these bad boys in and get a new experience of the game that you've loved already throughout all these years. So, where you stand is up to you. I say grab a Game Genie and have some fun. Just don't allow yourself to rely on easier gameplay. Checkpoints! Oh, excuse me, I have this autosaves from new gen game walkthroughs. From, oh, you'll have to excuse me. DLC. Hacks and glitches. Oh. Screw new games.